Francine is going to take us on this journey, where it's been and where it's going.
They had a little stage stop store here, and this is where they settled. It was called Fulton Wells at the time.
So I was told today I have to work like a horse, so I brought some of my gear. Is that okay?
You have no choice if you're going to be pulling a buggy or a cart.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what they would put this around a horse.
This goes around the horse's neck, and then a harness is attached to it, and the horse can push into it to motivate a buggy forward or farming equipment.
So it's soft for them so that they can do that.
Made of leather and padded.
Nice. Okay, well, with that being said, the ranch here had a menagerie of animals. And as I understand it, horses were really important before the advent of tractors.
They didn't have a tractor until probably in the 30s. And before that, into 1936, we know they were still using a horse to pull a wagon to harvest corn. And this would have been used on a horse that was pulling the wagon for the corn harvest.
I could see that happening. Now, did they have a whole fleet of them? Or?
No, they only had 1 or 2 horses.
Okay, and we're actually sitting in the Mr. Ed stall over here.
This is a horse stall. This door comes up to close, and this is where they could pitch feed in from the hay barn that's behind or ahead of us. And there's a triangular manger here. You're sitting on the edge of it, and that's where the horse's hay would have been pitched in from the outside, so they didn't have to enter the stall and step through anything that needed to be cleaned up. But it was an easy way to efficiently feed the horses, to pitch the hay in from the outside and then close the door back up. But it would also let the horse stand in here where I'm standing on a platform and look out.
So back in the day, do you think that the ground would be concrete like it is now, or do you think it was dirt?
I think it was half concrete or brick and the other half dirt.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather was very skilled with concrete.
Oh, nice. I like
other examples of his concrete work on the property.
All right, now from here, we get to go visit a real life cow?
No, a fiberglass cow in the milk barn that used to house up to 3 milk cows.
All right, well, we'll go take a look at that right now.
Good.
I think we have a mistake over here, Francine. My legs are a little too long for this chair.
This was to be able to get down and milk 2 cows. My father used one, my grandfather used the other. My father would have welded the stools, and my grandfather put the padding or covering on them.
Okay.
The cows would line up at this door and come in morning and evening, waiting to be milked.
Oh, they got milked 2 times a day?
Twice a day.
Wow. So you have one right over here, another one would come over here.
Yes.
And they would sit, I bet they were sitting there talking, they're chatting up how the day went or how the day's going to start.
Well, it didn't take them long to milk each cow.
Oh,
so they would cover the day's business, what they were going to planning in the morning, but it didn't take long. And we would come in as children and stand against that wall and watch them milk. So when I was 12, I told my brother they're coming home late from the mountain ranch, let's go milk. And so we did that for a few times, and my grandfather hired us. And from then on, we were the night crew from then on.
Oops.
When I went away to college, the next brother had to step in and take my place.
And what kind of bovine would have they been?
Well, we had Jersey or Jersey cross cows, sometimes purebred, sometimes half-bred, because they have a higher, what's called milk fat or butter fat. And the cream would rise to the top on the milk, and after a day and a half, my grandmother would skim the cream off and turn it into butter, or my mother did it later on. But the Jersey cows had the richest milk for our purposes, and then we drank the milk separately from the cream. And this cow was a donation from a lot of volunteers and came in painted Holstein, and I said, we never had a Holstein cow. They are the greatest volume producers of milk. And most dairies have mostly Holsteins. They'll add Guernseys or Jerseys for more butter fat. But so this cow got sent back out and painted to look like a Jersey cow.
Okay, all right. Well, we don't want any misrepresentations going on over here.
She doesn't have the curly horns that a Jersey would have. And then the milk went in a strainer into a pan like that, and then that's what sat in an ice box, and then later it was a refrigeration
we're talking real ice box here. We're
It
talking
was an
about,
ice, but the Iceman delivered ice in the 40s,
Wow.
30s and 40s to keep the ice box cold. Once a week he came in with a big block of ice. And eventually they electrified it. They were a little bit worried about whether electricity would affect the milk, I suspect.
I think so. Well, they weren't pasteurizing at that time either, were
No,
they?
this was strictly raw milk, and we were raised on raw milk.
Yeah. Okay, so this right here would have been another
That would have been a can. There's the old wagon that's out under the shed. My grandfather supposedly hauled surplus milk to a milk depot that was picked up and went commercially. It might have been used for cheese making, I'm not sure. But he supposedly hauled milk with a horse pulling the wagon down the road to the milk depot. And that was a surplus of milk from the cows they kept, because at one time they may have had more cows than just 2.
Okay, and that was just that was also another stream of income that they.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I see that.
The farming was orchards and whatever they could grow on the farm. That was their income.
Okay, I hear a lot of cock-a-doodle doodling going out there. Let's go see what's happening outside as well.
Okay, we have some noisy roosters.
So back in those days, everybody seemed to have chickens, unlike today.
Right.
Today, you know, we become these urban farmers, and people really just don't know. And talk about making a racket, huh?
That's one reason people have problems keeping a rooster. Many cities will not allow them to keep a rooster, but we have enough space here, and we're traditional enough that we can keep roosters.
So, do these chickens lay eggs?
Well, let's take a look. This is an ancient nesting box.
Okay, this is actually your grandmother's, huh?
This was my grandmother's.
Oh my goodness.
And there's a golf ball to fake a hen into thinking this is a nest, and there's a fresh egg there. It's
Wow.
a white one. And here's a brown one. And there's another brown one. There are 4 eggs in this nest and 1 egg in that nest. And we've got a hen over here talking to us.
I don't think she wants us to be
She
on
doesn't
camera.
really want us to be here. Can you hear her? Can you hear her
Yeah.
churring noise?
It's like, get out of
Let's
here.
see what she says.
Is she laying an egg right now?
She says, I even have a green egg
Oh my
underneath me.
goodness.
She says, I got a whole batch of eggs. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 eggs.
Wow. Now that chicken didn't lay all those eggs today.
She would have laid probably the brown eggs. See, she's putting the eggs back underneath her where I disturbed her a little bit. And she's what I call a broody hen now. She wants to stay on those eggs for 3 weeks until they hatch out into chickens.
Oh.
So whether we let her do it or not, or move them into an incubator, I'm not sure. But
Okay.
we did set some eggs in an incubator a couple of days ago. See, she's moving the eggs back, saying, no, they all have to be underneath me to stay warm.
Look at that.
And her body temperature for 3 weeks will hatch these eggs out into chicks.
Wow.
And she's got quite a variety there, because the big brown eggs are 5 brown eggs, 1 green egg, and 2 off-white eggs.
Aren't you afraid of getting pinched by those things?
Oh, some hens are she's very gentle. Some hens will be pecking like crazy at me.
Wow.
And I don't know how long she's been on that nest, but long enough to get that many eggs from her
Okay,
hen for her
so-
and other.
So what we're talking over here is that back in the day, these are the ancestors that were of the chickens that were around, per se, that your great grandparents and grandparents had when they came over here, and they were bird farmers too.
Well, they raised chickens, and my grandmother traded butter that she churned from the milk, cream from the milk, and eggs, and she would take them down to the market by buggy in Norwalk and trade for the produce that she needed for flour, sugar, whatever else that she wasn't producing herself.
So did she ever say how much each one of those eggs were valued at, or was it just a barter thing?
I think it was a barter thing, man.
Yeah.
She never talked about it, because by the time I came along, they were not bartering with eggs and butter anymore.
Wow. Well, I know this much. That guy over there has been making a racket since we've shown up, and I can't tell whether he wants attention or what it is, but that's really neat that you're able to come down here within this big old city that we have, an urban environment, and see these animals in what would have been more of their natural environment at the time. And that's all over here at the Hathaway Ranch Museum.
We had a big group of homeschoolers in earlier this week, and it gave them a chance to see chickens and the goats and the giant tortoise and the tame cat that follows us around, and the dogs that are pretty much rescued and need a home. There's another hen behind you that's checking out the territory.
That's a Wyandotte.
Yes. We get chickens donated now. These, I mean, my grandparents' chickens are long gone. These are descendants of and hand-me-downs, and sometimes people that can't keep a chicken will bring it back here.
Yeah.
And we have one classroom that asks for fertile eggs, and they take the eggs, hatch them out. The kids get to play with them over Easter time, and then or before or after, and then they usually bring the chickens back.
So this is a fun place to hang out, and you can get an education on past and also what's going to be happening in the future. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.